there are two things really which again I was completely awestruck by Sayyidi Ala Hazrat alayhi Rahma and his understanding. So a couple of years ago I went to a conference, and there was a very famous world-renowned professor. So he was talking in my specialty of rheumatology, and he was talking about how the genetics, which is a key element of what decides about the human physical attributes and what we call a phenotype. And he was talking about how the genes could be switched on and off. And one of the things, he described that phenomenon of what might be responsible for that genetic makeup to behave in a different fashion. And that branch of medicine is what we now call epigenetics.
Right.
So something which really we didn't even know. And since then, and certainly over the last 10 or 15 years, there have been lots of other branches. So there has been not just genomics, but there is epigenomics, then there is metabolomics, all talking about how different factors can contribute to changing health and can affect the genetic, the genetic predisposition, and also what the genetic makeup could ultimately manifest in the terms of ill health. So with that knowledge, and I thought, that's incredible. Epigenetics, something new in medicine. We need to focus more on. There's a lot more research happening. And then we come back to this letter. Sayyidi Ala Hazrat alayhi Rahma has written. Third point he mentions, he says, remember that when you're treating patients, there is a difference of weather. There's a difference of age. There is difference of place. There is difference of personalities. So he gave these 4 examples and said, remember, for that reason, don't think that one medicine which works for the person, if the age, the place, and all those attributes change, that particular treatment may not work. So you need to understand the interaction between all these different elements, and that's exactly what epigenomics is. So I guess we could even say that Sayyidi Ala Hazrat Rahmatullahi Ta'ala had features of an epigeneticist.
Subhanallah.
And that's again another branch of medicine. And so that's incredible how Sayyidi Ala Hazrat alayhi Rahma could have such detailed knowledge of how those things can interact. And another thing which he mentions in that was this whole concept of multimorbidity and polypharmacy. So that is a very hot topic in modern healthcare. So we know that people generally, their average life expectancies have increased over the last 50 or 70 years. So we are living longer, but we are living with more health-related conditions. So we're living longer, but we are in poorer health. So why that is? Because when I'm on call and I see a patient coming in, it is not somebody has come in with one problem. They tend to have several problems,
right,
which have all manifested and culminated for them being admitted to hospital. So there's a very famous institute which drives the NHS policies, so the National Healthcare System which we have in the UK. So it drives its policies, and that institute produced a special document on how to manage multimorbidity. So multimorbidity, which is this combination of illnesses, chronic conditions, and when they're combined in a person, how you need to be careful that treating one condition may have a negative impact on the other. So you need to have a holistic assessment of that patient and understand that better.
Right.
So they produce a document, and then they talk about, if we look at, again, National Health Service, several studies suggest that the people who are admitted to hospital, nearly between 10 and 20% are related to drug errors.
Right.
And that's because everybody who comes to hospital is on several medications. So it is the polypharmacy, the several medications which they are taking. So Sayyidi Ala Hazrat alayhi Rahma, so I've given this context so that people, for the viewers of Madani Channel to know that there is so much which people have been researching on, there are statistics being gathered, all of that. And Sayyidi Ala Hazrat alayhi Rahma, coming back to 134 years old letter, And he says, remember, you will come across patients who will have combination of illnesses.
Allahu Akbar.
And you will come across them who would be taking several medications to treat them. So remember the drug-drug interactions. Remember the interactions of those conditions. Don't treat everyone the same way. Remember the holistic assessment of that patient.
Amazing. Amazing. That's wonderful to know. It just increases our love for Imam Ahl Sunnah rahmatullahi ta'ala alayhi, and increases and makes us more astounded in a way, perplexed in a way, to find out what a great personality, versatile personality Imam Ahl Sunnah was.